Hey YouTube, welcome to video number 9 of my little NixOS configuration series. In today's video, we will have a look into managing secrets in your NixOS configuration. So here's the problem. When you have a password file or some sort of environment file and you make it part of your NixOS configuration, then it ends up in the Nix Store. And the problem with that is that the Nix Store is readable to any user on the system. And therefore, we need a mechanism to ensure that any kind of secret or password file is only readable by the user it belongs to. And that's where Agenix comes into play. So today I will show you how we can include Agenix as a secure way to encrypt our secrets. And I will also go into one open thing we had in our last video. As you might remember, in our last video, we were configuring Docker containers as part of our NixOS configuration. And usually you will provide secrets to a Docker container with an environment file or with environment variables. And that's also something I will show you today. So let's get into it. So Agenix will use our existing SSH keys for our system or our user or any SSH key we provide to Agenix to encrypt secrets into files. The way this is working in NixOS is that on boot or on building the system configuration, these secrets will be decrypted and will be written by default into the run directory. If you are interested a little bit in the background and how this is working in detail, I will link the repo or Agenix and you can have a look because there's a good and detailed description on how this works and what problem it really solves. So for now, I will just start to include this into my NixOS configuration. The first thing we need to do is we need to add Agenix to our inputs. And I will also include it into our out. And we need to add the Agenix module into the modules list for our system configuration. And of course, I forgot to create a new branch. I will just create a branch for video number 9. And I will just make a quick Nix flag check here. And you can see Agenix has been included into our inputs and has been written to our log file. And now we can start including Agenix for secrets management into our configuration. So what I will do on the root folder is I will create a new folder, secrets, and within that folder, I will create a file secrets.nix. And the structure of this file is very simple. We have a let binding here, and up here we basically define the public keys that will be used to encrypt our secrets here. And down here, we define each individual secret. So in this example, this would be the host name of our virtual machine. And this variable will soon contain the public host key of our virtual machine. And down here, we just say, okay, we have a file secret1.h. And the following public keys will be allowed to decrypt this file. The next thing we need to do is we need to get the public key of our virtual machine. So we can do that with SSH key scan and the IP address. And you can see we got different public keys here. So we have this one here, which is an RSA key. And we have this one here, which is a more modern format. And it's also known for being more efficient from the algorithm side. So I would just take this one here. And now I can just paste this in here and save it. And now we need to create our secret file. So for this, I will cd into my repo and into secrets. And then I just do a nix run agenix-e and then secret1.h. So I will just execute this. And this will open my default editor for the terminal. And here I can just define some environment variables. So for example, I do a var1 and the var2. And now I can just save and close it. And when we try to open this here, let's do like this. You can see this file has encrypted content. So right now we did not do very much with this because we also need to include this secret file into our NixOS configuration. So I will go to my host specific folder, which is just the folder name by my host name. And here I would just create a new file and I name this one secrets.nix. And on my default.nix, I will also import secrets.nix here. And our secrets file has a very simple structure. We are using the options that have been made available by providing the Agenix module in our flag.nix. So we have an option HN secrets, and here we just define the individual secrets as attribute sets. There are more attributes to the individual secrets we can use. I will go into this later on. And here we basically just define the file and the path where our H-encrypted file is. And now I will just quickly add all new files to our repo and try to rebuild our system configuration. And now when we have a look here, you can see here we have some Agenix output. So we have this encrypted file in our Nix Store, and this is decrypted by Agenix in this path here in run agenixd1 and secret1. Let's have a look at our virtual machine. And I will just open up a terminal and see if we can find the file. So we go to run agenixd1. And here we have a permission denied because this is a secret, of course. So I will just do that as root. And here you can see we have the contents of our secret file here and decrypted. And when we have a look at this folder here, you can see that the Agenix folder under run has very strict permissions. So this file is only readable by the owner. And as we didn't provide any additional configuration to this secret, the owner is root, and this secret file is not usable by any other user. So we need to make some changes here to our file so we can use it on our user and we can use it on Docker containers or whatever. So what I can do here is I can just set an owner here, which can be my username here. And when I rebuild my configuration, when we have a look at the output again here, then you can see Agenix is also creating generations. So right now we are at run Agenix generation 2. And that also means that we have this in the subfolder 2 here. So when we go back to our virtual machine and change this to subfolder 2, you can see as we changed the owner of this secret, we didn't need to put the sudo command in front. And you also have other attributes. So please have a look at the documentation for Agenix. So for example, we also have the group, and we can also define the mode, for example. That basically allows us to be as granular as Linux will allow us with the permissions and ownership of these files. And this allows to really manage which user is able to use the decrypted files. Another useful attribute is actually the path attribute, because with this you can really control where the decrypted file is stored. So usually the run Agenix folder is a pretty good place, because this is only available as long as the system is up and running, and as soon as the system goes down or the system is rebooted, all files in the run folder are wiped. So this makes it very secure. But sometimes you have occasions where you want to have a decrypted secret file in a certain directory. For example, what I use this for is I usually have my WireGuard configurations encrypted with Agenix. And in order to use the WireGuard quick commands to bring a WireGuard VPN up or down, WireGuard expects the files in a certain location. So this is, for example, out of my laptop configuration. So this file will be decrypted to etc WireGuard, and then we have a specific name here. So I can just use that to activate my WireGuard configuration. So just for now, I will remove these attributes because we won't need them. So in our last video, we had used our first Docker container, and of course we can use Agenix to provide environment variables to Docker containers. And the container we had in our last video is not very suitable to show this, because this uses a very minimal distroless image, so there is no shell available to read the environment variables. So I'll just create a new file, and I don't know, let's say we will make an Nginx container here. So I will just add a very basic container declaration for Nginx. Now I can add environment files to our container, and just let me separate this a little bit. And as you can see, config is marked as an error here, and that's of course because we don't have config in scope here. So I'll just do like this, and now the error goes away. And this refers actually to the options we have just defined in our system configuration. So when we go to our secrets.nix, that's what we defined here. So we have h secret, secret1. And that's also what we are using here. And we give it the path option here. So what this basically does is it will provide the location to our secrets file for our Docker container. And now when I save this, and of course we need to add this to our repo. And after we have defined our nginx.nix file, we need to import it in our default.nix here. So just like this, and save it. And now I can rebuild our system configuration. And this was successful. And when we head back to our virtual machine, so you can see the Nginx container is running now. And when I drop into the shell for my container, and let's say we echo our environment variables here, you can see the variables are available to our container here. And as you can see, it is very easy to include all of the secrets you need to build up the whole system inside of your NixOS configuration. Because The encrypted files will just be part of your Nix repo and they will not be readable without the private key. One thing we are lacking right now is we cannot really edit our files here. So when I go to terminal and into our secrets, now when I try to edit this file, we don't have any identity here to decrypt this file because, as you remember, in our secrets.nix file, we defined the host key of our virtual machine as the only key who's allowed to decrypt this. So what I need to do now is, in order to be able to edit secrets and to change environment files and so on and so forth, I need to add a possibility to have another key decrypt those secrets. So what I can do here now is I can just put another key up here and just provide one of the keys I have on my local system here. And now I will just add a new secret here. And this secret is meant to be user specific. So I put the username in front and just make dash secret. And the goal of this secret is to hold all kind of secret keys I might need as an environment variable. So for example, what I put in there is my OpenAI API keys and my Anthropic API keys and other secrets I might need. And I have one of these files per user. And now I need to get to the secrets.nix file on our host configuration here. And I will just copy this here and of course change the file name here. And now I will go to my home folder under features CLI for my fish configuration. I will just source this file here, and I can do this in the common configuration here, which is shared between users, because what we are doing here is we read the actual username for this configuration and just load the username dynamically and then the dash secrets afterwards. So when we have multiple files for multiple user configurations, this will work anytime. What I forgot about is in our secrets file, of course, as this is user specific, I will also set the owner to my username here. And now I can just open a terminal and go to my secrets folder again. And now I will just create my secrets file. And let's say for fish, we need to do like this. And we say log1. And now we can save it. And I will just add all the files to my repo again and rebuild our system configuration. And now when I head back to my virtual machine, I can just open a terminal, and these variables will not be available because we have put them into the login shell init. So these variables are only written when we log in the first time into the system. So what I will do now is I will just log out here and log in again. And now when I echo the variables here to the terminal, you can see these secrets have been decrypted and imported into my fish configuration. So when it comes to adding keys to our secrets, you have to be aware that as soon as you add a key up here, you might need to rekey old secrets. And that's also done very easily with the Agenix command. But the thing is, rekeying requires you to have a key on your system that is able to decrypt the secrets. So In this case, we don't have it like this because as you might remember, when we started this video, we created a secret1.h file, and the only key that was allowed to decrypt this was the system key of our virtual machine. So actually right now in this situation, there's only two possibilities. So what we could do is we could get the private key from our virtual machine, or we could just, in this example, recreate the secret1.h. Just for brevity, I think it's easier to just remove the secret1.h and just add my user key to the list. And now I can just put in the variables again and save this one. And when you want to rekey, what you basically need to do is you just need a -rekey, and then you give it the path to the private key file to decrypt. And you can see that the secrets have been rekeyed here. And when you add additional keys to your configuration here, just make sure that you rekey everything so you are able to decrypt all the secrets. So what you can also do is you can just structure this a little bit. So let's say we put in systems over here and we make this users here. And of course, what you can do here is you can just build an array here. So you can just say, okay, and let's suppose we have another system here. I don't know, just with some random key. And then, of course, you could just go and set a variable here. So we just say systems and we make this an array. And this one will hold both of our systems. And for the users, we could basically do the same. So we just make it a user2 here and just some random key here. And we could also say users. And then you could just concatenate these. So we can just say, okay, we want this to be decryptable for all users and all systems. And you just go like this. And this will also work. And of course, this will again need the rekey here. So that's it from me for this video. And if you have any questions, just drop a comment and I will try to help out. And of course, I will link to the code repo so you can follow along. And yeah, have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye.